Hey guys, welcome back. So, if you saw the previous video, then you know this series is basically my attempts to refurbish this Devon pop top from my 1974 VW T2B. Now, this originally had the concertina style top. I don't want to go back with that style. I can't find a colour that I actually like. Same goes for the later canvas kits that are available. I just have not been able to find one that I actually like. So I am going to attempt at making my own canvas sides. So I have went ahead and bought all the materials I think I'm going to need. So what I will do is, as I'm going through the process, I will basically give you links to everything that I've purchased and give you my opinion on how easy it is to work with, etc. What I'm also probably going to do is I may do a Google spreadsheet on everything that I used, all the dimensions, where I purchased it from, etc. Then if you want to try this yourself, you've already got the information there. So without further ado, let's get into it. So this is the fabric that I've went with. As you can see, although it is a little bit lighter than the van, it does match the shade better. The other samples that I got, some were too blue, some were just too green, and this one really, this one spoke to me. So what I'm going to do is I need to get it laid out flat somewhere so that first of all I can get all the creases out of it, and then secondly start marking it out ready to cut. Ideally a nice grassed area would be perfect, but I don't have that, so I've moved the Mini off the driveway and I'm going to just lay it out flat on the driveway. It is waterproof. Now that is something that you need to be aware of. A lot of these materials out there, they are water repellent, which means water will drop off them, but it does not necessarily mean that water can't penetrate them. So the one that I've went with is actually rated for outdoor use, for tents and that sort of thing, so just be aware of that. Anyway, I'm going to get it flattened out on here, and then I'm basically going to start doing a basic layout on it so that I can then start cutting, get it into the shapes that I want, and then I'm going to lay them out in the conservatory just in the heat so that it hopefully gets all the creases and everything out. Well, there we go. It's exciting and a little bit nerve-wracking. I've never actually done anything like this before, so yeah, this is expensive material to make a mess of. But anyway, I've got it laid out there. Hopefully the sun will take care of most of it. Now, besides making the actual sides, what I'm going to do is the Devon top does have a vinyl covering over the top of it. Now, I don't want to go back with a black vinyl covering on it. It doesn't last. The sun breaks it down. So, let that van go by. What I've decided to do is I am actually going to do the covering, the roof covering in this material. First of all, it's the colour that I want, and secondly, I think it'll stand up a lot better to the elements than basically the vinyl that you can get a hold of these days. So the very first thing I think I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the roof panel around and basically figure out the size piece that I need for that. Then that will determine how I cut the rest of it. I think basically what I'll end up doing is, just as a basic guide, I'll end up cutting this down the centre line and then cut the panels out that I need. So yeah, I think that's a good place to start. Let's get the roof around here. I can lay it out here and then we can figure it out from there. So there you go. As you can see, there's in there quite nicely. Actually, there's a lot more on this side than showing on the camera. For some reason, when I show the camera, point the camera down there, it doesn't look like it's going to be enough, but they should be. Anyway, I've got it laid out there. Obviously, I don't know if you can see, there's a little bit of a crease, like a dent in the panel there. The wind got a hold of it the other day, and yeah, but anyway, this is going to give me the first basic guideline as to where to cut. Now obviously there's going to be material left over, but I'm not concerned with that right now. So what I'm going to do next, the plan is, I've got some pieces of plywood. I'm going to put one underneath here to actually use as something to cut against, so I'm not cutting on the gravel. Then I've got a couple of other pieces that have got nice straight edges on them, and I'm going to use those to mark out and as a guideline to cut. So you'll see when I get there, but basically the first thing I want is the piece for this roof section, and then that can be rolled up, put away, and then because that's going to be one of the last processes. So I've got that piece there, and I've got this larger piece over here. Now this has got like the machine cut edge, so I'm going to use that edge as basically as the straight edge. Obviously I've put little marks down here, so I know that is the edge, that's machine cut. I'm going to do the same with this piece here. One edge is just a bit that's been ripped with a circular saw, but the other side is the actual factory machine cut edge. I'm pointing this to, there we go. So I'm going to put little marks down there just so that I can keep myself right and I don't get mixed up and then cut a wonky line. So I do have my schematic here. I don't have the dimensions on for the roof panel because I still have to measure those up again, so I just left it blank so I could write those in, but the one I put online will have all the dimensions in. So things you need: tape measure, a good one, pack of blades, I think there's about 10 there, so, and I will use all of these, I do expect to, because the last thing you need is to be cutting this with a dull edge, and obviously a knife, a good pen. You can use pencil. I might use a pencil if I can find one, but at the moment all I can find is a pen. So just got to find the actual knife now that those blades go into, and then we'll be ready to start marking out, taking some measurements, and deep breath, cutting. So here we are. So basically I want to leave a couple of inches along each edge. And also, that is something you may notice with me, I do tend to jump between metric and imperial, just whichever is more convenient at the time. So yeah, but when I come to do all the figures, I'll put everything in both. So, but what I want to do is I want to leave about 1.5 inches to 2 inches all the way around. Now I am not cutting this side just yet. All I want is the cut across here. So I've got it basically laid out and squared up to, you know, within reason. So I'm going to take a measurement from over there down to, I don't know if you can see there, but there's a crease. I'm going to use that as a basic guideline. So I'm going to take a measurement from there down, do the same on this side, then I'll lay that piece of ply across, and again I'll take another measurement, square it all up, and then I'll use that to make my cut. So first challenge, I don't think this edge here is cut square, because when I get it lined up along here, it doesn't line up with the edge. So I'm assuming these edges down here are the ones that are going to be the straightest. So any angles that I take off this, I'm going to take them from these edges here. So obviously with this being the top and it's all getting folded over, it isn't as critical, but I do want a nice straight edge along here, because I want anything down there, I want to take all of my measurements from here down, and I want to make sure that everything is square, because if it's not square at this point, it's just, yeah, it's going to be a nightmare, it's going to be a mess. So, okay, so this is what I've done. The roof section here, obviously I know these are going to be perfect right angles. So this edge here, I have squared that up with the edge of the canvas. This seems to be a nice perfectly straight edge here. So obviously I've got more than enough material at this top edge, and you can see where it actually cuts in there a little bit. So with that in mind, I've used this side here. Now that I know this is straight up against the edge of the canvas, I've used this right angle here to determine where I want to cut. Now I don't actually need this much material to go over the edge, but I have left it like that because I'd rather have too much than too little, and that'll allow me to adjust for that up there, and it will give me a nice right angle here to work with. So with that in mind, what I'm going to do now is just carefully cut across here. Then this section here can be put away because I don't need that yet, and then we'll move on to this and start figuring out all of the dimensions on this section down here. Okay, so I've made my first cut, but before I move this, I'm just going to lift this. Where we're at. I'm just running my finger all the way along just to make sure we are cut all the way through. Yeah, a couple of areas on here I had to make double passes to get through the material, but that's okay. So that's the first cut made. I'm happy with that. Let's get all of this put away, all of this over this side, this roof section and everything. I've got a piece of tube, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to roll this onto the tube, and that should just help get the creases out of it, and then we'll start working on the rest of it. Now we have approximately 149 inches of material left there, so out of this I need to get 2 at, what was it, 80, and 2 at 84.5, and then 2 at 44.5. So if we round those numbers up, we'll say make that say 44.5, make that 46, and then that should be whatever. Math, what can I say? It's not working in my head right now, but basically, yeah, if I cut the first one at what did I say, 46, then whatever's left, that'll work out for the long ones. Like I say, I'm not cutting these exactly to size today, I just want to get approximate lengths. Okay, there we go. So tomorrow, it's getting on, it's about 3:30 now, so it will be, it's too late to get into this now, but tomorrow what I will do is I'll lay these out on the table and I'll do the specific cuts on them. Same with this big one. And again, I'll use the same principle. Just these lengths of plywood to make a really nice straight edge. It would be better if I had something like a length of boxed aluminum or something like that, but I don't. But these will work good enough. And I do have a plan on how I'm going to actually put these together. This material can be bonded, but it also can be sewn as well. So what the aim is that I'm going to do a narrow seam, bonded, and then I'm going to see if I can pick up a cheap sewing machine. Yeah, this might be a comedy video by the end of it, but I'm going to see if I can pick up a cheap sewing machine. I do have some actual, it is proper thread for sewing canvas. I inherited that from my mother. Why she had it, I don't know, but she did have it. She's got a big reel bobbin of it. But so I do have the proper thread. What I will do though is when I put all of this video together, I will track down basically what I've got, and I'll also stick that in the listing. This material actually came from eBay. I searched around, and the store that I bought it from, they sell it out of they've got a retail store, and They've got a online store, so you know, I'm not close to the retail store, so I just ordered it online. But I have had samples of these. If you saw my transit, I've got transit on the brain today, I don't know why. If you saw my earlier VW videos, then you'll have seen me messing about with little swatches, colour swatches, and just trying to figure out which material that I wanted. I had actually found a colour that I liked a little bit better than this, but it wasn't available in waterproof. It was moisture resistant, or I forget the exact terminology, but basically it would shed water, but it wasn't completely watertight. It wasn't designed for well, I'll tell you what it was. They were advertising it for making covers for outdoor furniture, that type of thing. So I don't know how well it would have held up. So this was my second choice, and it was a much heavier material, so that's what I went with. Anyway, that's it for tonight. I'm going to get this put away. I think what I might do is just lay it out flat in the conservatory where there's some heat, just to get the rest of these creases out of it, and we will come back to this tomorrow. Well, it's morning and I've got my table set up. 8x4 sheet of ply. This ply is actually going to be used inside the van, but I'm using it as a table today. Now, first thing I want to do is, this is the longest length, which is this one here. So what I want to do is get this set up so I can cut the first one. Now, obviously, this sheet yesterday, if you remember, was cut too big. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to line it up down this edge, because this ply has obviously got a nice right angle to it. So I'm going to line that corner up over there, get nice straight edge down there, nice straight edge down here. Then I'll be able to take my measurements off. Then I'll mark out the first piece that I want to cut, and then basically I'll move this over and I'll do the same again for the second piece. So I've lined it up down this edge here. One thing I do need to point out with this cloth is this fabric. There is an edge here that does have to be trimmed off, because the waterproofing only goes up to there. So that's actually what I'm lining up on the edge of this plywood. But this is what I was talking about yesterday. This is perfectly lined up down this edge, and we do not have a nice square cut here. So that's why I'm putting the effort in to get this perfectly cut. I know there's always going to be a little bit of leeway. This is fabric, it's not perfect, but I want it as close as I possibly can, and it's just going to make life easier for me in the long run. So I now want to go back and verify all of my measurements. So what I've done is I've screwed the metal straps that actually retain the canvas on the roof, screwed those into place, and I'm just going to go around and just take exact measurements now, and just confirm that everything's going to be cut right, because once you cut it, that's it, you're kind of committed. So let me get these measurements and then we will come back to the table. Okay, so I've got all the measurements confirmed. I have made a few adjustments. So what I need basically to cut this across its width first. Now, it's not the easiest to do because obviously the table isn't big enough, but as long as I've got this angle here right, I should be able to cut it more to about there, slide the cloth across and finish off the cut. That's the theory. Okay, so far so good. Now I'm going to slide this across, finish off that cut, then I can make the central one. I think what I'm going to do first is I want this edge here. I think I'm going to trim that off first, and then we'll work from there. So I've got it all laid out. I've clamped it at either end just to stop this moving around because it's just such a long length to cut, and it'll just make it easier. But you can see, it's just a little bit uneven there, but that's okay. We have to take this edge off anyway, so yeah. Okay, so we've got a nice straight edge cut there. Next step is I'm going to do the middle cut. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this up, this edge flush with the plywood. Then I'll reposition this at the correct location. Now I can't clamp both ends, so I am going to be very careful with this cut. So what I'll do is I'll have it over towards this edge, and then I can clamp this edge, and then I'll start to cut at that end, work my way this way. That's the theory. Let's see how it goes. So just to help to stop this moving, I have put a little screw in there. This plywood's going to be covered, so I'm not too bothered about any marks or anything that I get on it. So, but yeah, just in case you missed it earlier, this ply is going to be used to make some of the cabinets and everything inside the van. Also, some of the actual, well, it does have cabinets, but they're not in the best of condition, so what I'm going to do is replicate them with this. Anyway, we're getting off topic here. So, got it marked out there nicely. I have went back to the van, just again, checking all the measurements. Now, I'm doing this at 560 millimeters, 56 centimeters. My measurements on the van suggest that I need about 53. Now, I'm obviously leaving a little bit over so that I've got a little bit of leeway, because it's easy to trim it when it's on the van. So, right, let's make this next cut. Oh, glad I did leave a little bit of leeway there, because I just slipped with a knife. Yeah, so obviously I've got a good inch there. So, but that this happens. It happens. I was just trying to lean over and into it, and I just leaned against the table. The table moved, and yeah. But okay, because I left additional length on it. Well, you can hear me over that weed eater that's going ape in the background. But yeah, I'm working on the second one now. I've got it squared up here. I'm getting ready to make the second cut. Obviously, I need to be more careful this time. So, those are done now. They're just the offcuts. Now working on the short panels. One thing I am making sure that I'm doing is cutting it in the same orientation, because there is a grain to this. So I want to make sure that everything matches. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the length first. Like trim along these edges, then get the width right. Yeah, that seems like a reasonable plan. Let's see how it works out. Okay, and there's the next one. And one last cut to make, and then we're ready to start laying it out and gluing it together. So we've got the final cut there. Now, I'm pretty sure there are some professionals out there that'll laugh at the way I've done this, but it's worked for me. I've never done anything like this before, so I'm just trying to figure it out as I go along, and you're kind of on this journey with me. So, but what I'm going to do next is that we're now got to start laying it out, or start gluing it together. So what I'm thinking about is I'm going to lay it out, tape a line down, so that I can just put a nice straight bead of glue on, and then lay it over. Obviously I'll have the other piece underneath, and just bond it straight down there. Do the same with both sides, let it dry, and then I'll be able to flip it over and then do the other long length. I know I didn't explain that very well, but once I get it laid out, you'll see what I'm doing. Also, this is two-sided. Now, the dark is the outside, so I do have to remember that. And so, I think Yeah, I need to figure out which way around this has to go, because if that's the outside, then that will be tucked under like that. So I need dock side to... Anyway, that's not right. It's been a long day. It has been a very long day today. I'm out here in between doing other work. So, right. That's right, yeah. That's right. So if I have the dock side up, dock side down, and glue it, then I can turn it inside out and it should be right. I think. I'm going to lay it out on here and then figure it out before I get into doing any gluing. Okay, I've got it figured out. What I've done is the long side, I've laid that flat with the dock side up, that is the outside, facing up. Then the shorter length, which is the ends, basically I'm laying it over the top so that I can make sure it's nice and square, and then gonna lay it like that. So basically I can just glue straight up that seam up there. Now that may look like it's going to be inside out, but what I'm going to do is I'll do the same on this side, flip it all over, try that again, flip it all over, and then I'll do the same with the other long length, so that it's basically all bonded together but inside out. Then once I've obtained a cheap sewing machine, I will sew up the glued edge on all four corners. Then it's just going to be a matter of flipping it inside out. That will then put the dock, which is actually the outside, that'll put that outside, and then the seam will be inside with just the glued edge facing the elements. Now that makes sense in my head. The other thing that I do need to do though is I don't want to glue all over the place, so what I'm going to do is, first of all, I'm going to tape these down so they can't move, and then I'm basically going to measure and put a tape line down there. I'll also do it on here, have this taped into place, so when it's all, because it's contact adhesive, so when it's been glued up, all I've got to do is flip it over and then just press it into place. That's the theory. Yeah. So, as you can see, this is going to be the bottom of the canvas. And so, what I've done is, because I need a flap here that does not have glue on, I've taped up that section there. Now this gap here from there to there, which I've done the same at the top, is that is 50 centimeters. But what I've done for the top is I've used one of the rails that actually go into the roof basically as a guideline as to where I need to glue up to, because remember these flaps have to fold over, so I don't want them bonded beyond these sections here. I hope that makes sense. It's I know I'm not very clear at explaining things, but basically I don't want any glue on that part, and I don't want any glue on that part, because these are the flaps that are going to stick out. Now I'm just transferring that onto the side piece, so that again when I flip it over it'll just drop right in there and it'll just be perfectly lined up. Okay, I'm just letting the glue tack up, give it a couple of minutes, and I am going to remove the tape before I fold it over, but I think actually what I'll do is I'll put a little bit of tape along those edges just to make sure that that doesn't move. But yeah, once that's tacked up, flip it over and we should be good. I don't know how well you can see that, but now the tape's removed, I've got a really nice glue edge there. So I'm going to put the camera down because I really want to use both hands for this, but I am basically just going to flip it over, flatten it down and call it good. There we go. So I'm going to leave that now. I'm going to move to this end, basically repeat the same process over there, and then we'll have to leave this for a little while, but then we'll come back and we'll get the other side attached. Again, we're all glued up, just waiting for it to tack up a little bit, remove the tape, rinse and repeat. Well, there we go, that's the first side bonded. So I'm going to leave this now. I'm going to give it a good 20-30 minutes. It's actually warmed up quite nicely out here now, so it's a perfect day for doing this. It's not too hot and it's not too cold, so I'm going to give this a good 20-30 minutes to tack up, and then we'll move to, where's it at? The other one. And we'll get the other side put in, and that's basically this part of it done. Like I say, this is the same adhesive that I used on the door seal, so it does have to wait 24 hours. And like I say, I need to source a cheap sewing machine. So yeah, I think it's, no, I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say anything. Anyway, let's go and grab a coffee or something while we wait. Hopefully you can hear me over the aircraft, but while I'm waiting on that drying, just had a little package, and it's basically just a sample pack of fabrics for the interior of the camper van. And yeah, I must admit, everything seems to be based around grey, but I do kind of like that one there, and that one there. Those are the two that I kind of like. One's supposed to be blue, one's supposed to be is it wheat or biscuit or something like that they call it, but it's a couple of potentials. The other ones, it's just all other than the burgundy. I do like that actually, but not for this. Everything else is just shades of grey, of course black. Yeah, but they are the two. Again, there seems to be a lot of limitations on colours availability right now, and yeah. Okay, after that foray into colour swatches, we're now back on this. So it's had plenty of time to dry, and there's, I was going to say it's stuck to the table. I forgot it is stuck to the table because I put tape on it. Duh. This is just not my day today, it really isn't. Anyway, I'm going to get this pulled up, and we'll get the other piece stretched out, and we'll get it all figured again. So one thing I do need to ensure, that's that bit where I got a bit irate with a box cutter, so I'm making sure that it's laid out, because that needs to be the top edge. So what I did was I actually stuck some tape on there. I don't know if you saw that while I was filming earlier, but I put some tape on just to designate which is the top, because obviously I still need to do the same thing with the glue strips on these edges as I did with that, so I get the flaps. Anyway, got that. Let's I think what I'll do is I'll get this taped, I'll get these edges taped and marked out first, then I'll lay this other piece on the top. Right, there we go. I did make sure that it is the right way up. Yeah, we have got the lighter side underneath. Yeah, things happen. Anyway, yeah, let's just get this laid out now. I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to work this just yet, but I need to get each flap at the end and then kind of roll it up in the middle somehow. Yeah. I'll get there. So there we go, got the side masked up. I will do that side shortly, but I wanted to get this one done first. And yeah, so far, I mean, it really wasn't as difficult as I had anticipated, but still got to get a sewing machine yet, so you know, standing here doing this reminds me of an old episode of Mythbusters. If anybody that watched the show, I think it was the first season, and they did the Alcatraz escape, about the guys who used basically rubber rain mats and they glued them all together and made a dinghy to escape. I don't know why that just popped into mind, but it did. Anyway, this end's done. Gonna move up there, and what I'll probably do is once I get that stuck, I'll get everything put away, but I'll leave this sitting here for an hour or so before I actually roll it up and take it inside. It is a nice evening there, so I'm not expecting any rain or anything like that, but obviously it's England, it's, you know, it's October tomorrow, and you can't rely on leaving stuff outdoors. So yeah, I will get this all packed up tonight, but overall I'm happy with how it came along, except for that one little foobar down there, but I'm not overly concerned about that, because like I said, that's in an area that's going to get trimmed off anyway, so you know. But yeah, let's get this other side done. Well, there we go, that's it. Everything is now glued up. So I am going to leave this for about an hour. I'll just get everything else tidied away, but this will just be set to one side, and then I'll once I've got the sewing machine, I'll come back to it. But I'll put everything together in one video. So everything to do with this canvas, obviously the gluing and everything today, and the sewing and everything, I'll add that to the end of this video here. I am going to start tomorrow putting the roof sections together. That again will be, I'll do that in a separate video. And then I'll probably do one, maybe two videos, see how it goes, just bringing everything together and the final assembly. So, looking forward to that. Anyway, that's it for now. Well, we're getting close. Now, obviously I have been working on this top. You will see that in the next video. But I need it all out here at the moment because I need to take some measurements off the fabric. It has been a few days, so the fabric has had time to actually sit there and the glue to it here. Obviously, I've got the sewing machine set up there. I am gonna sew this today, but before I do that, there's just a couple of areas that I need to check. Just double checking these corners here, make sure here. So this here is actually the top. So that will fold out like that. You'll see anyway when it all starts going together. But yeah, I do have to make some slits in the fabric for these sections here where we're at. Point the camera, John. These sections here actually poke through the canvas. So what I need to do is I do have to make a couple of slits in these, but what I want to do is I also want to bond an additional patch over that area to give it an additional strength. So I need this all out here so I can roughly set it up and figure out where I need to make those slits. So that's what this is all about. Well, this is just a really rough fitting. It's sagging here because this should actually be further apart, but the rod that I've got isn't wide enough. You'll see when it actually goes on the van, because this one here will actually be over here somewhere, so that sag there is okay. What I'm actually here for is these bits here, because this rod here, this will eventually go down onto there, it'll be underneath this rod, so we do need a split in the canvas to allow this to come through. Same on here, obviously same over there and over there. So I wanted it set up roughly into place so that I could actually mark where these slits have got to go, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to bond a piece of fabric over there, then I'll put a stitch around it, and it'll just strengthen that up, make sure it doesn't go awry or anything like that. So the other thing that I need to do is as well is I'm not actually going to do it today, but I do need to punch a hole in here. I do need a better hole punch. I've tried it on the bits of fabric that I've got, and it's not very good. It's just not very good at all. So I do actually need a better hole punch to punch a hole in each one of these, because I don't know if you actually realise this, but these seams will be on the inside. This is I've got the canvas inside out at the moment, but yeah, there will be a hole punched there and a rivet eye put in, so that I can put a what do they call them again? The little clamps that you use for keychains, etc. Lanyards. Duh. So each corner will get a lanyard, and then there is actually a bungee that goes around the inside of the canvas. It's tightened down, so when you actually drop the roof, the slack in the canvas is pulled in. But yeah, I mean, obviously it's upside down, but yeah, this is the first view of how the canvas. Just imagine that the other way up. And that's how the canvas is going to look when it's actually on the van. And I am absolutely stoked. I am very, very happy. Okay, so that's the first mark. So I'll be cutting between these two. I'll put just a straight line in there. Like I say, I've gone over it a little bit. That's the original marks that I made. But I don't want to get it on, start putting it together and realise there's not enough of a gap there. So I've got another piece of plywood there. I'll slide it under the canvas, so obviously I'm not cutting. Yeah, and I'll slice there, then I'll basically work my way around all four corners. Okay, here's the idea. First of all, where we're at. Well, let's just focus that. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, obviously I've cut a slit along there. I'm going to slit there, slit there. This will fold over the outside. Same on this side, it'll be bonded. Then this here, each one of those flaps is folded over. It'll be bonded and then bonded to here. With me so far? Let me just tell you what. So we'll work on one end. So that'll be bonded like that. Now obviously I'll then run a stitch down here. If I do this with just one hand, well, I'll run a stitch down here, but I will have a slit in there which will allow a flap to be folded over, which will allow access to this underneath. But I'm going to just buy a couple of strips of the self-adhesive Velcro, and just so the flap can be velcroed down, and that will be bonded and stitched there. There'll be a slit so far down which will come just before the that, and then it'll allow that flap to fold up. It'll also protect this cut edge, and it'll, once velcroed down, it'll alleviate any drafts. I mean, I don't think it's absolutely necessary, but it's easy enough to do. So that's the basic plan. Now all I've got to do is actually do it to all four corners. Okay, there's the first stage. Got them all the edges folded over and glued there. I'm going to leave them give them 20 minutes for this to just tack up, and then I'm going to start working around these here. Actually, I may as well glue those two bits there. And but I just want to do one of these at a time, get it all bonded and everything. Obviously I've got some little clamps over there that I'll use to clamp it all up. And yeah, the day is actually marching on. This is taking a lot longer than I expected. Yeah, it's weird. This whole thing Some of it has gone really quickly and has been way quicker than expected. Other bits like this that I thought would be like maybe an hour. I mean, I'm 3 hours in at this point and I don't feel like I've actually done anything other than bond a few bits of fabric. But that's, I don't know, it's just the way it is. But anyway, I'm going to bond these two little corners here. I haven't cut the rest yet because I'm going to do one at a time. And then we'll get back to this in, I don't know, 20, 30, 40 minutes. Okay. So that's the first one dry, obviously, little flap there, and yeah, so stitch down there, stitch down there. These are all dry now, so I'm going to work my way around the other three corners, and that might be actually it for today. It's after lunch, it's getting on a bit, so I may not get this started because, I mean, I'm working in the conservatory there, which is great, but it isn't. It's great during the day, but night time it's only got like mood lighting. So, but I've got this part well underway. That was the primary goal. What's up, guys? Well, obviously, you know what that is. So, obviously, I've eventually got myself a sewing machine. So, at the moment, I'm just going over instructions, just figuring out setup and everything on it. And, yeah, hopefully we'll be producing some things for the van. I'm laughing because I know how badly this can go. But yeah, so far so good, except the instructions are pretty bad. The Japanese instructions translated into English, and it's a literal translation basically. So I'm trying to sort of having to try and figure them out. I'm probably going to look it up online because apparently this is quite a popular machine for doing this type of stuff for hobbyists, etc. So I'm not entirely sure what that is. Looks like a piece of marble. Anyway, yeah, so I'm just going to spend the rest of today just getting familiar with it. Those offcuts of vinyl that I've got, I'm going to play around with those and just get it all figured out. So I've just about got everything set up now. So what I have been doing is I have this large commercial bobbin of thread. And unfortunately, I did have a proper thing for unspooling thread from this, but I've lost it, so I've made one. So it's basically just a little lump of wood stuck in the bottom of it there. This should then hopefully go up there onto the little axle shaft thing, and then I should be able to spool it onto the small spools for this machine. Now, I'm not just doing any sort of in-depth sewing tutorials or anything like that. There's loads of those online and they're way better than what I can do. So I'm just basically just giving you an overview of what I've bought, what I've got, and yeah, just my progress, how I get on with it. So I've got some little spools somewhere. I've got to go find them because I bought them earlier today and I've put them down and can't find them. But I'll go find them. I'll get the thread spooled up, and what I want to do just to begin with, I've got some bits of fabric laying around somewhere, some offcuts, and I'm just going to practice doing straight lines. That's all I'm doing today. And then once I feel a little bit more confident with that, then we'll we'll have a go at actually running a row stitching down the canvas. That I want to feel confident in myself before I get into that, because too easy to ruin it at this stage. Well, it's working. Yeah, no, little things, please little mind, but yeah. Anyway, I'm going to carry on with this because I've got 4 more to do and there's one inside the machine to do as well, so I'll be here for a while. Okay, I'm just taking a break for a moment. I've got one spool done, but package has arrived. So this should be some more seals for the Oh, the camper. This should be the final. I don't even remember what this one is for. Wait a minute, I'm going to have to put this down to... Actually, no, I can just... I like that, can't I? There we go. So... Right, know what that is. That is... you've seen these pop up in a previous video. It's for a project that's coming up. It is on the camper van, so you will see it. But what else we got in here? Oh, that's right. This is just a kit for putting vinyl stripes on. That there is an oiler for air tools. Can we open that up? I know, I'm like a 5-year-old. My partner, she once said to me a long time ago, there we go, it's just a basic oiler, just for some of the power tools. But yeah, I forget what it was, she'd bought something, and I was very excited to open it, and she wasn't opening it. That does not look like what's supposed to be 8 meters. That does not look like 8 meters. Yeah. What else is in there? Oh yeah, trim tools. Sorry, the cat that toppled my door over. Well, it was last year now. I've just seen it go through the backyard there. Anyway, yeah, I'm going to have to spool that out and just see how much is there, because that does not look like the right amount. But this here is this is another project. This isn't on the camper van. This is going to be on the Mini. But I have a MOT inspection coming up on the Mini shortly, and the front fog lights are faulty, so I've gone with these. So these are, they have got the daylight running light and the fog light, but it's also an orange indicator turn signal. So yeah, these will pop up in a video shortly, but yeah, I have had a issue with one of the fog lights on the Mini. I've messed about with it. I keep getting it working, then it lasts for a few days, then it goes off again, and it's just elderly. So when I saw these, I was like, yeah, I'm going to give them a shot, because I've wanted some daylight running lights on it for a while. So anyway, this has got nothing at all to do with the camper van, these lights. Let's put all of this away, and then we'll get back to doing the doings with the sewing machine. Well, it's a new day, and here we are sitting at the sewing machine. So what I've been doing is, I need to straighten that one up, but I've been basically putting tape on because that's where the flaps are. So I want to sew up this line here. Now, I've been watching a couple of online tutorials, and what they recommend is to actually put a pencil line along the edge of the seam where you're going to stitch. So I am going to go grab a pencil and do that now. Basically, it's a good guideline, helps you keep the seam straight. So okay, yeah, no, but yeah, it's basically there's a straight line down. So I'm going to do that on all the other sides, on all the other seams, and then yeah, we'll boot the machine up and off we go. Oh, there we go, there's my first seam. I think that's pretty good, that. There's my second seam in. Yeah, I'll link to the guy I've been watching online, and he does some fantastic work. But yeah, he was the one that said you need to put a line on so you've got something to follow, and it really does make it easy. and there we go, it's all done. So yeah, at this point I'm ready just to start putting the canvas on the roof. One thing I do actually need to do that inner panel on the metal roof, but yeah, actually I don't know whether you won't actually see that in this video. It's the next video you'll see that, but I need to get that done anyway. So, but that's it, the canvas is done and it's just ready to install. Well, I'm spending the rest of the day now working on the top, on the metal work, but that's basically the canvas is done and ready to go onto this frame. So this is where I'm going to bring the video to a close. You will see what I'm doing here in the next video, but yeah, that's basically it for the second part of this video. Now, I'm not sure how much footage there actually is. There's a lot, I know. I think this is probably going to be an hour-long video, so, you know, thank you for sticking with me, and look forward to seeing you again when we get into this. So, take care and have a good one.